Hi, guys, I'm Sheelagh Blumberg, and welcome to day 2 of What is Your Why? Losing Your Why. So, what happens if you don't have your why? Or worse, what if you had it, but you lost it along the way? First of all, you need to realize that you're not alone in this feeling, and not everyone has a clear purpose. In fact, recent studies suggest that only 25% of the people do. What does this mean? Is that 4 people have a guiding light. Of the remaining 75% don't. And half of them fairly neutral on the topic, not caring much one way or another if they ever find their why. This leaves 35% of the people falling into category of seeking to figure this out. Or 1 in 3 people looking for the meaning of purpose in their lives right now. People just like you. Day 2. And today's lesson, we're going to talk about why our why might become lost over time. And at this point, you're going to be pondering over a few important questions. Did I ever have a why in the first place? If so, what happened to it? So let's go back to what we talked about in the previous content a little bit. First, all of you've already had several kinds of why in your lifetime. As a child, it was easy to figure out that purpose through activities. We sing our hearts out and become the world's greatest rock stars and spend hours practicing to become the world's greatest baseball player. You'd be surprised how often the early why idea involves being the world's greatest. Kids aren't shy about dreaming big. They haven't learned about limitations, nor are they concerned with the reality. Of course, at some point, the child's connection with that specific purpose kind of disappears. But generally, this is because they've gotten reality check of some kind. Maybe they realize that as much as they love singing, they really can't carry a tune. So no matter how hard they try, just likely someone else came along and told them that it's just impossible to succeed in the music industry. The problem here is not that every bubble needs to be burst. For this particular example, who said the child couldn't become quite a competent musician or redirect the why into songwriting or playing an instrument? Thousands of people make decent living in the music industry, and quite a few stars who made music their why, but they didn't give up. And at the same time, we might have lost our why, but for some reason entirely, one which made the whole lot sense of time, even if it doesn't look right now. Consider these possible purposes killers and consider them the sound of a familiar. You're disillusioned. You thought you knew your why, but you're going into circles for a long time, getting nowhere. The luster is gone. This could be boredom. It might have been realized until now, but just ill-fitting the purpose was how much work was involved in what you wanted to do. Whatever the case, it doesn't matter. You're done. You lost your way. Somewhere you made the wrong turn. You thought you knew what you believed in, but the path diverged you and you wandered. Now you're not sure your why you're chasing after, but it doesn't feel like it's yours. What if no idea has to go back and generally easier to drop it in the case like this? It was never going to happen. There's nothing quite like figuring out the driving force that was pushing you towards your impossible dream. Either what you wanted was never in your reach to begin with, or you were longer than the drive, resources, or time to chase after it anymore. It wasn't happening soon enough. If your why involves completion of a specific goal, it can be easy to lose it in the start, dragging it out. The longer something takes, the more likely you're going to quit. Things aren't looking the way you want, so you're making progress and you're like, why might even look possible? But what if it isn't going to come out quite as you wanted? Go back to the example of the singer. Maybe their why involves singing in a large stadium filled with people, but the reality is that they're singing in small clubs and audiences, instead, more interested in conversation than contrarios. A lackluster reality can quickly demolish a why. You're stressed. Sometimes a why can put too much pressure on you. You might even have a great purpose in life, but right now, you have many outside things going on, from the ill health to the family matters. All like a life purpose on top of a crisis can quickly become overwhelming and feel like something which needs to be abandoned quickly. Finally, you might want to consider if you lost your why because it was time to move on to something else, something which fits you better than your old why did. Consider the reason and reflect on the why. You've changed. Change isn't bad. Sometimes our old way no longer serves who we are. We should always be growing and learning new things. This likewise applies to what you learn about yourself. Maybe you use things that you wanted to be a rock star, but your driving purpose has more to do with helping others to shine rather than taking the spotlight yourself. It feels like you're right and you can let go. Why? Go with guilt. In the next chapter, you're going to learn the opportunity to discover your why and how it suits you and how you are a whole lot better because of it. You learn something new. Facts can sometimes help us learn our old why is flawed. Consider, for example, if after some soul searching you realize your why is based on a perception of the world that really isn't true. Unmasking misogyny, racism, bigotry, and other flawed or skewed perceptions are some of the best reasons to drop a why and look for something new. It's not your why. Sometimes the why we set has more to do with pleasing others than the best part of ourselves. If your why feels more like your mother's dream or your something is that you feel you owe it to someone else, it's time to move on. It's time to go. If you ever considered what happened when you realized why is finished. For example, you might have used your children as a guiding light, but now they're grown and living their own lives. Sure, they'll always be part of the why, but in this case, maybe it's time to figure out something else to be your guiding light, something more to stage in your life currently. Hopefully by now you're starting to see losing your why can be complicated. Sometimes it's a bad thing. Sometimes it's not. In fact, on occasion, letting go of your old why is the best move. It can be scary though, to let go of that why. Who are you without that guiding light? Can you survive one? Before answering this question, let's take some time to explore previous whys and why you've let them go. So we're going to start on exercise 2. What is your why history? It is difficult to define your exact purpose in life. You may become preoccupied with the mundane task of everyday living, or perhaps you've been told that your dream is unrealistic or unachievable. Did you always think this way though? Chances are you've likely had a why in mind at some point in your life, so what happened to it? In lesson 2, we laid out some common causes for losing your why. And today's exercise will be looking at those causes in great detail in which one may truly ring true to you. So let's go to step 1. Why do you think kids can find a why so easily? And why does that change throughout life? Using this information from the course in your own experience, brainstorm your ideas. Next step, reflect on the most significant why in your life you no longer pursue. What changed? What began that path away from that purpose? Step 3, out of all of the reasons that might cause someone to abandon their why, lesson 2, which one did you think you are most susceptible to? Which reason has you lost the most on your whys? Why do you think of this? Do you feel content with your change in your why over time? Write down your thoughts. Thank you for joining me on day 2 of finding your why. You can also go and find me on moneylovesuccess.com, or you can email me if you have any questions at info@moneylovesuccess.com. Thank you so much. I'm Sheelagh Blumberg. Have a great day.